Okay, Dr. Mindy here for my Thursday live and Q&A call, and I want to talk today about Fast Training Week because it's happening next week. So let me start off with what the rules of this Fast Training Week will be, and then I'll open it up for questions. I'd love to keep those questions specific about Fast Training Week. And if you're new to Fast Training Week, let me kind of give you a little bit of how the rules are played and how we do Fast Training Week, and then I'll dive into what we're doing over this next one that will start on Monday. So we started this a couple years ago. We found that people were so interested in fasting, and yet they didn't really know how to integrate it into their life. There was a lot of apprehension around fasting, and so it was actually a request of my community, could we all fast together? So we did it once. Again, this was about 2-3 years ago, and then people loved it so much that we decided to do it once a month, where we could create a very safe place, a very supportive place where you could come and train what I call your fasting muscle. And the reason that we call it Fast Training Week is because the purpose of it is to try to push yourself to new levels. So if you've been fasting a lot, this is a good, or doing like intermittent fasting or autophagy fasting, and you're wanting to try some deeper fasts, this Fast Training Week is a great place to do that. So my team is both here on the community page in YouTube. You're going to find posts on my Instagram about it. And then, of course, there's an incredible community in our Resetter Collaborative on Facebook. So if you want into our Resetter group, come join us over there. And that's where there's a lot of community. In our academy, we have a lot of community as well. So depending on the level of engagement you want, those are your options. Now, I always give you 2 options for Fast Training Week, and one of those options is always a water fast. So 3 to 5 day water fast is what we recommend. Fast Training Week will last 5 days. If you are wanting to do a water fast, I have a couple of rules for you. For starters, you need to be testing your blood sugar and your ketones 3 times a day. If you do not, you are going to run into some unknown areas that are not safe, and we do not want that for you. So you need to test your numbers 3 times a week, and we highly recommend that if you're going to do water fasting, that if your blood sugar gets below 50 or your ketones get above 7, that you break your fast. And I can't emphasize this enough. The other thing, if you're going to try a 3 to 5 day water fast, it's highly recommended, especially if you have a medical condition, especially if you're diabetic or you have some condition that you've been working on healing, that you involve your medical doctor, that whoever's your primary care doctor, that you're working with them and letting them know that you're about to enter into this fast. So we see miracles with the 3 to 5 day water fast. It's incredible. And if you guys are watching this and you've experienced those miracles, let us know. Like I love hearing the stories. So, but know that there's some real safeguards and bumpers we want to put out there for you so that you can have the incredible results that people get with these longer fasts, but you're also being very safe. Okay? So that's always option 1. Option 2 is always something that we either have created or it's one of the 7 other fasts. And this week, what I want to do is I had the pleasure of interviewing this woman. Her name's Anna Vicino. Really awesome, funny. She's a comedian, and really fun podcast interview I did with her. You can, if you don't know about my podcast, it's called the Resetter Podcast, and this one came out 2 weeks ago. And she talks a lot about how you can eat gluten-free, grain-free, low-carb, and make it really tasty. She also talked about, she has some tips in there for making, for cooking so that it's quick and it's easy and it tastes good. So really fun interview. But when I interviewed her, I asked her if she would be willing to put together some of the recipes that are in her book and make it so that we could do a Fast Training Week that had very specific meals for you guys to eat. So we do this in our resets. This is something that we do a lot in our 15-day reset. So we wanted to kind of bring it to Fast Training Week. And so she did. She has put together, and I'm just looking at my electronic version right now, but she has put together probably about 5 or more. So I think she gave us, there's about 5 or 6 different recipes out of her book. And she's giving it to us for free. So if you want to do the option 2 next week, it's 1 meal a day. And if you want to follow Anna's recipes, we will be posting a link where you can download the PDF that she has created for us so that you could follow her recipes. Now, what's really cool about doing something like this, and we see it in our 15-day resets all the time, is everybody's going to share little strategies. Like one of the recipes I put in here is one that we made, and I forget what the official title of it, but my husband and I made it, and it's called, hold on. I'm going to get it to you here in a moment. It's like a chicken with artichokes, spinach, and tomatoes, and it was so good. Sunday night, we do a big family night dinner here in our house, and we made it, and it was incredible. So she put that recipe in there. So if you want to follow the recipes, great. Just let us know. We love knowing which option you guys are going to do. If you want the link to her book, to her giveaway so that you can follow those recipes, stay tuned to our community page because we will be posting it in there. But that's how next Fast Training Week will go. Water fasting or 1 meal a day. And then I guess there's if you want to do 1 meal a day with Anna's recipes, and then you don't have to even think, you just follow the recipes. There are some vegetarian recipes in here as well. And you can just, it's a turnkey system. You can just do your 1 meal, do the recipes, and get the great results of fasting. So just to remind you that one of the benefits of a 1 meal a day is if you're new to fasting, the longer you go without food, what you're doing is you're forcing your body to go find the glucose, go find the insulin, the excess that it stored years ago. So as your blood sugar comes down, what's happening is that you're forcing the body to go and burn stored sugar, and it does that in the form of fat. So it's an incredible way to lose weight. We also know that 17 hours of fasting will stimulate something called autophagy, which really helps your body detoxify and clean old cells up. We know if you go 24 hours of fasting that you reboot your whole intestinal stem cell, the stem cells of your intestinal tract. So the longer you go, there's a ton of benefits. And if you're on my channel, you've probably heard me say that before. And then before I open it up for questions, one other thing is that this week I put out a video, on Tuesday, on what you should drink when you're fasting, and we got a lot of great comments back on it. I brought you the science on things like Diet Cokes and NutraSweet. We dove into talking a lot on that video, and the comments on that video have been really around teas and how we know that there are some teas that can bring down your blood sugar. So if you haven't watched that, be sure to go and watch that one. Tomorrow, I have what do you do if you're not getting a good result with fasting? And you guys know me, I'm a checklist gal. I like do this, do this, do this, do this. And so I'm giving that to you tomorrow in descending order from the easiest thing to look at to the more difficult thing to look at. So stay tuned. That will be coming out tomorrow morning. On Friday morning, my time. I'm in Pacific Standard Time or California time, so that'll come out tomorrow. So with that, I'll open it up for questions. We love to hear where you guys are from, and what your fasting experience has been. Let me know if you were on my webinar last night. A lot of you guys, we had over 900 people sign up for my webinar on the immune system. So if you were on that, let me know. You guys it's such a cool community here, and we love supporting you.
Great. Yeah, we got some health students, somebody in pre-med, some other wellness coach people.
Awesome.
So take what you can from
So
here.
let me actually make a comment on that. So we have a lot of different health practitioners following us now. So everything from like pre-med to medical students to medical doctors to naturopaths to chiropractors to health coaches. And one of the things that is so important to me for you guys is that I keep bringing you the science, because the science, it teaches us what we are learning. And when you look at science, remember that there's mouse studies and there's human studies. And I try to point out both of those. So when you're watching my videos, if you're a health professional and you're trying to dig deeper into this, go to the notes, because I link all my studies in there, and then take them. And when you learn this stuff, share it out. Like, this is the whole point of my channel, is to educate and empower people on how to use some techniques that don't cost money. Fasting doesn't cost any money, and are science-based, and they tap into this miracle that our body was born to be. So if you're a health practitioner, please go share it. So.
I've never seen this comment. Somebody says you have huge hands. I think it's just they're close to the camera.
I think they're close to, I know, I was like, why is he looking? It's because they watch when they go close to the camera. That's so funny. I actually don't have huge hands. Let's put them next to my face. Right here. You can see how big my hands are compared to my face. So
I've never seen that comment before. That was funny.
But, it's the 3 dimensions, so as I go closer. So.
Let's see. First question. One thing in the resetters, we only let people into the resetters. We don't let pages. So if you're,
I'm like, what would we? We don't let animals into the resetters.
If you're coming from a business page,
okay.
We
So
won't admit it.
if you guys want to be a part of the community when we do Fast Training Week, I wish we had more community. We can post on our community page here, but if you want to be a part of it, the Facebook page is the Resetter Collaborative. If you go into that as a page, we don't let you in. You have to be an individual, and you got to answer the questions. If you don't answer the questions, we don't let you in either. So
we got to make sure there's no bots or spamming.
Yeah, it's just to make sure that people who come in are that they're real people and that they're engaged. It's not a bot.
Yeah. First question from Amanda.
Okay.
She wants to know, can children's 4-year-old fast maybe half a day to help heal a leaky gut?
Oh, so
Leaky
interesting.
gut.
That's such a good question, Amanda. So it's hard with a 4-year-old. Here's what I will tell you that you can do, and you want to heal a leaky gut, is the first thing is let your kids follow their lead with food. So you don't want to say, no, we're not eating. But if they wake up and they're not hungry, we used to say, oh, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So you can train your 4-year-old that that's not the case. You eat when you're hungry. It's such a beautiful way for us to get in touch with our own innate healing power. So that would be the first thing that you would do. I'd be very cautious to say, oh, we're not eating breakfast, we're fasting right now, because that can set up all kinds of eating disorders. So please don't do that. The second thing is for a leaky gut, very, very simple thing to do is Ion Biome. It is a liquid drink. It was developed by Dr. Zach Bush. I'm sure my team will come in and will put in the notes where you get it. It's been known Zach Bush actually saw under a microscope that when you drink the Ion Biome, that it heals and brings together those tight junctions so that there's no more leaky gut. So it's been incredible, and I really recommend anybody with a leaky gut has that. The third thing, and I've thought a lot about this with seniors, and I've thought about it with kids, is that we know ketones heal. So exogenous ketones, because the first step with a child would be just don't push food in their face all the time. Second thing would be, could you use ketones as a way to speed up the healing process? And there is an exogenous ketone that we agree with. You can get it on Revelation Health, and it's put out by Systemic Formulas. So
what would you want to avoid with what kind of exogenous ketones would you not want to
Well,
take?
anything that's, I'm not a fan of fillers and chemicals, so I'm very cautious about the products that we recommend because I want to make sure they've tested for heavy metals, that they don't have any fillers in them, that they don't have the chemicals in them. So you'd want to know what the company, if they've done that. I don't know, the one, Systemic Formulas just has a great exogenous ketone.
Right. But you do want to watch out for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And Amanda, continuing Amanda's question, she's worried about him having a lot of allergies for a child, or I don't know if it's a boy or girl. And so what would you do? Obviously biome, what other...
Food allergies or regular allergies?
Yeah, started from the leaky gut perhaps?
Yeah, so here's the thing on food allergies is that so much of it is a dysbiosis in the gut. So the microbiome is completely decimated right now because of 3 major issues that we have going on in our world. We have a healthcare system that's been founded on over-prescribing and tons of antibiotics over and over and over again. Luckily, even that world is starting to wake up and say, yeah, well, let's be a little more cautious about antibiotics. And they're not making any more antibiotics because the bacteria got so strong. So you want to minimize the amount of chemical load that you're under, that your child's under. The second is the quality of our food. The food industry is more interested in profits than they are in quality of food. So like I can tell you in our household, we try to shop farmers markets as much as possible. We get to know our farmers. We're very picky about the quality of food. We eat a lot of whole, fresh foods. We have our own garden. We talked about this on the webinar last night, that when you walk into a grocery store, all of the fake chemical-laden foods is in the middle of the store. So shop the perimeter and make sure you're getting healthy food. And then the third piece of this is that our soils are very deficient of minerals. We've oversprayed. Most of our food is not being grown in rich soil. So I love farmers markets. I love going to your own, making your own or growing your own garden. Yes, it takes more time. Yes, the food is more perishable, but it's a really great way to make sure that your gut is getting the nutrients that it needs. I love Ion Biome for any food allergy. It's easy for kids to take. It's a liquid. And then getting kids passionate about eating fresh foods is just so important. And then when they get to the point where you can teach them intermittent fasting, so like we have an 18-year-old, a 20-year-old, and an 18-year-old, and I kind of, like our 18-year-old, he never likes to eat breakfast, so I haven't pushed it on him. And when our 20-year-old was getting ready to go off to school, we talked about the fact that she was going to be in dorm life, the food was going to be horrible, and this is where fasting would be really helpful. So you kind of follow their lead as they get older, but in those younger years, it's really tough because you don't want to create too many mind blocks there.
Okay, great. Question from Carla. She's been fasting for 4 days, and she still hasn't gotten into ketosis. I don't know what device she's using to measure that. And she's losing weight though.
That's awesome.
So any advice on that?
Well, you're going to watch my video tomorrow because you're the exact person I did this for. So remember that when you come to fasting, what happens is that your body's going to need to make a switch. And it has been a sugar burner for a very long time, and it needs to come over and become a fat burner. One of the ways you know it has made that switch is that you will get ketones. Ketones are a sign that the liver is now burning energy from fat. It's not burning it from sugar. So that transition over to becoming a fat burner for some people will be very quick. Like you just can fast a couple of days and you're like, look at that, that's amazing. And some of you, it can take months and months and months. So watch the video tomorrow. I give you 8 different steps that you're gonna wanna follow, and follow it in that order. There's a little more to the story than just hang in there. But if you're losing weight, that's a very good sign. It tells me that you're getting to that point. The body, you're dropping weight for a reason, so that's good. And you may be closer to the ketones than you think. But the video, I lay it all out for you.
Great. And then River Heights Nancy wants to know about oxalates. Because she's having major GI issues.
Yeah. So this has come up a lot about like lectins, oxalates. So it all comes back to gut dysbiosis. And I feel like, let me know if this would be helpful. I feel like I should do a checklist video on how to repair your gut. Because if you're having a food sensitivity, what I want to emphasize is that it's not necessarily the problem with the food. Although we can look at wheat, for example, the way that wheat is milled right now and the way that it's sprayed, yes, that's a problem. But if you're eating vegetables, if you're eating beans, you're eating foods that like nature has provided and you're having problems, that's a gut issue. So you're going to want to work on repairing your gut. And we talked a little bit, this is the same question that Amanda had about a 4-year-old, is get on Ion Biome. That would be the first start. And then fasting is great. So for an adult, we really like to repair the gut with a 24-hour fast on a regular basis, because that will repair the intestinal stem cells, will go in and start to clean up what's going on in there. Really look at your antibiotic load and make sure you're not taking antibiotics unless it's a life-saving situation, or eating meats with a lot of antibiotics in it. Because every time you eat those antibiotics, you're going to decimate the good bacteria. And then ultimately, you're going to want to lean into some more of the polyphenol, prebiotic, probiotic foods. But that's kind of the last piece of it. Now, having said that, I will throw one other piece out there that I've been deep in research on, not only with my community, myself. I've interviewed a few experts on my podcast on this, and that's that we're finding that if you take the carnivore diet and you mix that with some longer fasts, like 24-hour fasts, and you do that for a couple of weeks, a week to 2 weeks, and then I would even throw into that Ion Biome, take 3 tablespoons of Ion Biome a day, and that has a healing effect on the gut. And the reason that the carnivore diet works so well for the gut is that many of the food allergies and issues are happening because you have good bacteria in the wrong place in the gut. So if you just start with, it's like giving yourself a fresh start. Just clean, like fast, do the carnivore, do Ion Biome, and you're like creating a level playing field so that you can now start to introduce some of those foods back in. So try that. And again, these are the kind of things we talk about in the academy. So if those 3 things aren't working, join us in the academy so you can interact on a Zoom call and we can dive in deeper to understand more.
So this is also from Amanda, who had the question about the child.
Okay.
And she's a pre-med student.
Great.
And she wants to know what she should study, what specialty. You have any advice for somebody going into health?
Well, here's what we need. I'll tell you the biggest thing we need in all healthcare, whether you're going pre-med or you're going, naturopath, chiropractor, functional medicine, is that there's 2 major things. One is we need to teach people how to eat. We need to show, and to me, that's also teach them how to fast. We have hit this place where if you have a problem, we write you a prescription. That's not healthcare, that is sick care. So we need doctors that are going to stand up and say, here, I want to make some lifestyle changes for you first, so that let's see how that works, and then we can resort on medicine. The New England Journal of Medicine came out with this incredible meta-analysis of intermittent fasting, and they said that all medical doctors should be prescribing intermittent fasting first. So why aren't we doing that? So whatever path you take, please understand nutrition, please understand fasting, understand the tools that you can give your patients that don't require medicine, and save medicine for that absolute must-need moment. So that would be my first recommendation. Second thing I want to remind you is that doctor means teach. And one thing that drives me crazy is that we don't have enough doctors standing up and teaching people how to heal. This body is so well designed, and I don't care what your background is as a doctor, you need to teach your patients how to take amazing care of it. So for example, blood pressure. is the answer when I walk into my doctor's office and my blood pressure high, is the answer that my blood pressure is high because I'm not taking blood pressure medication? Or is it high because of something I'm doing in my lifestyle? Teach me, doctor, in that moment. Teach me. Show me why my blood pressure is high. Don't just give me a fancy diagnosis. And if we do those two pieces as doctors, we can stop the amount of money that's being paid to pharmaceuticals, people going bankrupt for their huge hospital bills. We can stop the chronic disease. We can stop the suffering. Like, those two pieces are pivotal for all of us. So if you're a pre-med student, please remember that in your heart as you go into medical school, that lifestyle matters. And if you're going to be a doctor, your job is to teach. Your job isn't to just prescribe and diagnose. Your job is to teach the people. So that's my passion on that.
Kathy, who's in our academy, watched the webinar last night with her family and said it was awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks, Kathy.
And we, just to give you guys an idea, we have created an immune checklist so that you guys could just, as a family, could go, yep, I'm doing that, I'm doing that, I'm doing that. So if you want the immune checklist, just put immune checklist and my team will come in and get you links for that. And Kathy, I hope it was helpful. I was hoping that we could bring families together to really look at all the things they can do for their immune system. So
I'm going to skip over the questions about what breaks a fast because you just did a video on that. Apple cider vinegar, that kind of thing. You just put out a video on that, right?
Okay, yep.
So please go and check out the video that came out this week.
Yeah, let me just say one thing on what breaks a fast. I just did a video on what drinks break a fast. And I will tell you, just because the apple cider vinegar question came up, from everything that I can see, the major issue that you're going to have is when you start to do anything with chemicals in them. So chemicals will make you insulin resistant. So it will mess your whole blood sugar insulin system off. All the others, there are some other really cool drinks you can have that will lower your blood sugar. But anytime you introduce a chemical into a fast, you risk the chance of it breaking a fast. So I'll try to keep it simple like that. So.
Let's see. Should you take a probiotic during a fast?
Should you take a probiotic during a fast?
It's similar.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're trying to do. If you're in a 24-hour fast or longer and you're trying to reboot your intestinal stem cells, I wouldn't do that. What I like to do with fasting is use my own internal intelligence to repair, and then when I come out of the fast, lean into my probiotics. So lean into a probiotic tablet or probiotic or prebiotic or polyphenol foods. So I use fasting as a way to, again, wipe the slate clean. And then I use it as a way of tapping into an intelligence that I can't tap into at any other time. So.
Okay. We only have a few more minutes, so I'm looking for, here's a good question. Can you skip dinner instead of breakfast?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question. Yeah. Can you skip dinner instead of breakfast? A couple years back, I had a really fun conversation with Jason Fung. And at that time, the obesity code had just come out. People were losing weight left and right. They were so excited about what he taught in that book. I remember seeing even that one of his devotees had put a picture of him on a tattoo on his wrist. They were so excited about what fasting was doing for weight loss. And so I got the opportunity to have this really cool conversation with him. And I said, have you ever not seen fasting work for somebody? Have you ever seen it not work? And he said, it always works. Sometimes people have to keep varying it and keep mixing it up to be able to unstick the body. And he used the example that a lot of people were doing dinner to dinner, and sometimes they need to do breakfast to breakfast or lunch to lunch. So he was a big fan of flipping that. And so the answer is absolutely yes. And I can tell you from like looking at my heart rate variability with my Oura Ring over time that I do best when I go to bed in a semi-fasted state. My heart rate variability is the highest, which is an indication of my nervous system's being more balanced. Whereas if I go to bed with a full meal, then I have a tougher time sleeping, my heart rate variability is lower, less deep sleep. So you either need, in a perfect world, to eat dinner early, or eat lunch or eat breakfast and flip it and fast later in the afternoon. So I love that. And if you're stuck, that's actually a really good technique you can use.
Okay. So we do need to wrap up because you have stuff to get doing. So any thought? I thought the stuff that you said about the medical education was powerful. Yeah. So
if a couple other thoughts just for you guys, make sure if you want the Anna Vicino handout, just stay tuned to the community page because we'll be posting it there. And if you're doing Fast Training Week, let us know. Put it on the comments here so that we know. We love to keep track of who's joining us. When you make the recipe, let us know that too. I think it's super fun to do this together as a group. And yeah, as always, great questions. I'll come live to you next week here. I will be going live in the Resetter Collaborative on Tuesday. Again, I have an amazing team that is here to support you guys and answer questions. If you want more interaction with me, come into our Reset Academy. We do 2 calls a month where we are having these kind of dialogues of what you're doing right here. Again, my goal is to teach you how to be your own doctor so that you never need another doctor, so that you are only dipping into healthcare when you are in a crisis, that you're running your own health. And that's what we can all do with these principles. So as always, I hope that helps. And keep fasting, keep believing in yourself, and have an awesome day.